Guy's vision of America tomorrow looks much like it did yesterday. He loves beautiful coal, beautiful worships, and those four beautiful words made in the USA. He speaks of the country's might as measured by its steel mills, farms, and cars rolling off. Shit. Hold on, I'm trying to go back to that for a minute. Oh shit. Hold on. Yeah. So he speaks of the country's might as measured by steel mills, farms, and cars. The steel mills and the cars are laying and the cars are laying and the car warehouses are laying off workers. He's not merely summoning happy memories. His nostalgia shares policy in lives too. 45 glorifies the muscle and sweat, but not the labor unions of those who toil in factories and till the soil, like those idolized depictions of labor in century-old murals. He does not love wind power. He's a fossil fuel guy. A meat and potatoes man too. He steers an administration that reflects not just his agenda, but his pre-woke diet, as when it pulled back on requirements for whole grains in school lunches. He's had it out for those newfangled light bulbs for years, ever since he warned flatly and falsely that they can cause cancer, which is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. He waves off modern worries about global warming by pointing to a cold snap. His campaign sells plastic straws to thumb its nose at what 45 considers political correctness. Meantime, the world moves on. Industry, technology, and much of the culture are finding new ways of doing and living. Even even the auto industry, which doesn't like being told by government what to do, has found itself unhappy about how 45 is how 45 is easing the fuel economy requirements. Crusty old Detroit has already moved on from its most gas guzzling days and invested massively in more efficient vehicles, kicking higher even as 45 lowers the goalposts. U.S. prosperity has been driven for decades by services, technology, and new things, not the grunt work of old that is celebrated by 45. He sees trade in terms of exchange for goods, and he ignores services where long-standing U.S. strength and global competitiveness does not fit his world of view of an American under siege by rapacious traders like China. We are bringing back, he likes to say, and always with exaggeration, we're bringing back America faster than anyone thought possible, which is not true. We're bringing back factories, not true. We're bringing back jobs, not true. And we are bringing back those four beautiful words made in the USA, also not true. All those things come from the 50s and 60s, said Irving Rain, a professor of communications at Northwestern University who has studied cultural trends for more than a half century. He says that when 45 shares things such as King Coal, big steel, and trade protectionism with the big beautiful turban China, he knows his audience, a largely older one that takes comfort in a filtered view of the past. Yet modernity advances. Popular culture is like a river; it just kind of floats by. Rain said some of it stays, and 45 has captured those eddies. In his own way, Joe Biden has too. While disagreeing with the 73-year-old 45 and almost all of the above, the 76-year-old Democratic presidential hopeful invokes a time of committee between political opponents. The feeling that nostalgically there was more compromise, Rain said, and holds out the prospect of bringing back those days. This, while 45 and most of Biden's rivals seem ready. They seem ready to lunge at each other. 45's throwback tendencies are not unique in leadership. Ronald Reagan could be steeped in sentimentality too, if without the sharp edge of this squadancy. Konstantin Sedakidis, a psychology professor who studies nostalgia from Britain's University of Southampton, said right-wing Republicans in Europe have romanticized the past to advance goals such as Britain's exit from the European Union and the marginalized of out groups of such as Islamic migrants and refugees. 45 is using collective nostalgia, sentimental lodging about the country's rosy past to its political advantage, Seneca said by email. By its nature, such cultural observers say collective nostalgia in history can seen through history seen through a veil, with old with old hardships and prejudice put out of mind in favor of wistful remembrance. You cherry-picked things, Ryan said. Some of 45's retro impulses are reflected by now in law or in the lifting of regulations, a trend most pronounced when it fits his pro-industry conservatism as well. This past week, his administration barred California's longtime authority to set stricter car and truck emission standards than federal rules require. Nearly half the states sued to block the 45 administration's action, which by its own reckoning is likely to result in additional fuel consumption of 500,000 barrels a day. The auto industry, instead of being relieved, warned that their vehicle will become less competitive globally if the incentive to increase fuel efficiency is lost. 45 called them politically correct automobile companies. 45 has eased up a variety of environmental regulations in Part 2 to serve his interest in reviving coal, but that effort is up against forces of the modern free market. Awash in natural gas, as utilities continue closing both coal-fired plants in favor of energy sources that are cleaner and cheaper or both. This month, the administration slowed a long push by Congress to wean the country from old-time incandescent bulbs in favor of LEDs and other lights that use less energy. 45 argues the savings aren't worth it. Consumers should have a choice, and under those new bulbs, I always look orange. And so you do, he told a Republic hunt gathering, as if realizing he has been associated with that color anyway. Yeah, but you know how that is.